Okay, are we good, Nancy? Okay, all right. The meeting will come to order. Welcome to our January Board of Trustees Committee of the Whole meeting. And it's great to see everyone, even though we have a small crowd. It's great to see those who are here today. And we certainly do appreciate your presence. Our first matter of business is the approval of the consent calendar. Are there any corrections to the minutes posted for our Committee of the Whole session on December the 5th? If there are no corrections, I need a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve. I second.
We have a motion to approve from Mrs. Doolin, followed by a second. And so it is moved and seconded to approve the minutes. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion's carried. The second item of business is the appearance of guests, and for the first time in a long time, we have 0 guests today to speak. So we'll move right along to item 3.01. Our third item of business is administration, and Dr. Presley will serve as the chair of the administration section. But Dr. Presley, before I turn it over to you, I want to make sure that our audience and our listeners are aware that we do have two members who may not be present with us physically today, but they are with us online, Miss Linda Levinas Wells and Miss Anne Marie Middleton. So just wanted everyone to know that. Okay, Dr. Presley?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our first matter of business is item 3.01, revision of board policy BA, school board goals and objectives. Dr. Royster, would you like to speak to this matter?
Thank you, Dr. Presley. This is a pretty simple, straightforward revision. Several years ago, the board changed the operating structure of the internal auditor, making that an administrative function. There was still one remaining policy related to board officers that gave that officers I believe I might be on the wrong one. I think I've got the wrong cover sheet.
Dr. Royster.
Policy.
And I'll go ahead and chime in if that's okay.
Yeah, I think I've got the wrong cover sheet with, or the wrong policy with the cover sheet.
Sure. So policy BA and the next one, BBA, both originated with the need, as Dr. Royster mentioned, to update those two policies regarding the reporting structure of the internal auditor, which now reports to the superintendent through the deputy superintendent, his designee. And then additional changes were made. And BA is the first policy, that's 3.01. And in addition to that change for the internal auditor, which you can see the language is cleaned up in BA on page 2, number 13. That is the specific change regarding the internal auditor. And again, that just notes that the internal auditor will not directly report to the board. The external auditor will. But obviously it reinforces the commitment by the district for transparency to make sure we comply with the Freedom of Information Act and accountability for the internal auditing department. Now, in addition to that, and talking with Dr. Stiles, when I reviewed this language, this policy was a little dated. Had some language that went back several years that mirrored state law, but again, probably not the best user-friendly, reader-friendly policy language to have as a district. And so what I did, and these really are not substantive changes. Again, this policy mirrors 59-1990, which is a statute in South Carolina law that authorizes and gives the school board, specific obligations, powers, and authority. And so what this policy does is just a little housekeeping, cleans up, modernizes the language, especially in that first paragraph and some of the duties and responsibilities of the school board. But there are no substantive changes. It just kind of cleans it up and makes it a little bit more fitting for the year of 2024.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. I got straight order now. I think the next one is the one that addresses the responsibility of board officer.
Yep. So I'll happy to answer any questions you have on BA.
Thank you. We have so I guess we need to go ahead and do we have a recommended motion from because we do the questions after, correct? No? Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm a newbie. We have a recommended motion from the administration to approve the revisions to Board Policy BA as presented. I need a maker of the motion.
Dr. Presley, I make a motion to accept the changes as presented.
Thank you, Dr. Stiles.
Second.
And we have a second from Ms. Doolin. I'm sorry, Ms. Mosley. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye. All opposed, no. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. That went smoothly. Our second matter of business is item 3.02, revision of board policy BBA, school board internal organization, board officers. And Dr. Royster, do you have anything to add?
No, now I'm where I introduced you all ago, which is changing the responsibility as referenced under the vice chair who previously managed the internal auditor's evaluation to make this consistent with the new policy that brings the internal auditor under the responsibility of administration, and the administration evaluates the person, the individual.
Thank you. We have a recommended motion from the administration to approve the revisions to board policy BBA as presented. I need a maker of the motion.
To approve the revisions to board policy BBA as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Bush. And second, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No. The motion carries. Our third matter of business is item 3.03, revision of board policy BCA, school board meetings types.
Dr. Presley, if I could, I would like to make a motion for the board to go into executive session to receive legal advice pertaining to the revision of board policy BCA and to discuss the conservation easement at Gateway Elementary School.
All right, second. So we'll go into executive session. Or we all need to vote first.
Yes.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right, we will go to executive session at conference room A at this time, everyone. We're going to call our meeting back to order, and I just wanted to inform everyone that we have been in executive session to receive legal advice pertaining to the revision of Board Policy BCA and to discuss a conservation easement at Gateway Elementary School. No decisions were made and no votes were taken. Dr. Presley, you may proceed with agenda item 3.03.
Dr. Royster, do you have any further comments?
No.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Royster. We have a recommended motion from the administration to approve the revisions to Board Policy BCA as presented. I need a maker of the motion. Okay, thank you, Ms. Bush. Do I have a second? Second from Ms. Brett. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. And I'll turn it back over to you, Dr. Stiles.
Okay. Okay, our fourth item of business is building and grounds. Mr. Cochran is not with us. He had a family emergency, so Ms. Doolin is going to chair that section. So Ms. Doolin, I'll turn this over to you.
Thank you. Section 4.01 is a budget adjustment for Fountain High School addition. Dr. Royster, did you want to talk about this?
Yes, ma'am. Just in summary, and then we're glad to answer any questions the board might have. We've mentioned several times in the past 2 months the incredible cost increases that we're experiencing in school construction, not just in Greenville, but throughout the state and throughout the country. Costs have pretty quickly escalated in, I guess, about a 6-month time frame, Colonel Carlin, from a little over $300 a square foot to sitting right about $350 a square foot.
Yes, sir, roughly.
Which is affecting the projects we have that we have already begun design work on. It's affecting the projects that we have that will be the next that we undertake. And the two that we bring to you today, the first Fountain Inn High School and secondly Woodland, both are affected by the pricing increases that we're seeing. We also want to take advantage of this opportunity to expand the scope of the two projects. Again, speaking specifically to Fountain Inn, if you will look at the information that you have attached to it, we're requesting a cost increase of right at $17 million on the estimated cost of the original addition as proposed of $48.5. Now, $4.5 million of that requested increase has to do with, as I mentioned to you, the great escalating cost increases that we're experiencing with construction. That's 4.5. We also have taken this as an opportunity to expand beyond our original scope for the expansion of 2,000 students to add an additional 12 classrooms and to expand 2 of the fine arts areas to carry the capacity of that building to 2250. Which can be accommodated within the core of the remainder of the building, given the addition as proposed to the 2 fine arts areas that we have recommended be expanded as well. This should provide, if you think about going across the southern part of the county, 250 additional high school seats, which would bring the capacity of Fountain Inn High School to 2250, just under 2,300. We already know that we have capacity of more than 2,200 at Hillcrest High School based on its enrollment prior to the opening of Fountain Inn. And we have the capacity of above 2,000, probably about 2,150 at Woodmont High School. So this should address the short and medium short-term needs for high school seats in the southern part of the county. It's more advantageous to do that now than to do it later. We don't foresee the cost of construction going down, and you also achieve some economy by doing larger additions and doing the design work for them all at one time. You also see in there's a little deviation from normal. We usually pull portables in if we need them for a temporary period of time. Due to the space constraints on that site, we looked at some other options. We'll be able to bridge the space gap at that location by leasing a 10-classroom modular building. The biggest advantage to that is it compresses all of those classrooms into a smaller footprint, taking up less space on the site, giving us more space to work with, and not impeding the ongoing operations of the school. And it really comes out to be about the same amount as it would cost us if we relocated 10 of our modular units, brought them on site, brought them up to the standard that we bring them up to when we put them in use, but more importantly, it takes up less space on the footprint. So we've noted that as a little, an exception to what we would ordinarily do. So our recommendation to the board is to increase the budget at Fountain Inn High School by an estimated, taking the estimated cost above the 48.4 by $16,944,349. And you'll see that coming from part of the 204.6 unassigned general fund balance. I'd be glad to answer any questions any board members might have.
There is a recommended motion from the administration. I need someone to make that motion. Ms. Brett.
Ms. Doolin, I recommend to approve the transfer of $16,944,349 of unassigned general fund balance to building fund in order to fund the budget increase for the Fountain Inn High School addition as presented.
Thank you. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Ms. Bush.
Yes, I have a question as it pertains to, I guess it does pertain to the budget and the growth, the overwhelming growth that we have going on there, and looking out into the future that we sit so close to the county line down there, which I know we do in the western part of Greenville, as we do like to Pickens County. But do we have our ability, how many students down there go to Fountain Inn that live out of county? And as you see the developers building homes that are right outside of Greenville County, yet they take advantage of our Greenville County schools, and I know they still have to pay Greenville County taxes to go to Greenville County schools, but I guess it comes to some point, and it's just very obvious in this case, is if they're paying Greenville County taxes, they should be considered Greenville County students, but technically they're not. And I know the way sometimes we have to restrict, like in our magnet schools and things like that, the growth, so that we have actual room for those that are right now located in our southern part of Greenville County, and not extending that on. How far down do we extend that into Lawrence County?
We currently do not have any out-of-district students allowed into Fountain Inn High School.
All right.
And if you live in, and I know you're aware of this, Bush, and I'm sure the board members are as well, but for people that might be listening to this or read the minutes later, since this consolidation, and it was formed in 1952, Greenville County Schools includes 30 square miles of northern Lawrence County. I believe those were probably areas that would have been part of one of the 80 school districts that were combined in to form Greenville County Schools, likely associated with Fountain Inn or Simpsonville. So as you made the point, people that live in that area pay their school taxes on our millage rate to Greenville County schools. So they are residents of Greenville County schools, though they are not residents of Greenville County. There's also a small number of individuals that are residents of Spartanburg County, in Spartanburg School District 1, who physically are in Greenville County schools. And I believe there is a corresponding very small area of Greenville County that's a part of Spartanburg School District 1. The people in Greenville that are in Spartanburg 1 pay their school taxes. Spartanburg 1, the ones in Spartanburg that are in Greenville County pay their school taxes to us. So we do not exclude, we assign them to those schools the same way as we would assign students in the Greenville County portion of Greenville County schools. One of the reasons, you mentioned the property down there is very close to the county line, and it's also, we try to avoid getting right up against our boundary. But in this case, the property of Fountain Inn High School is almost the center, if you drew a circle around the school, of the boundary of the school district, but not the boundary of the county, because it comes very close to the county line. But if you went down there and drew a circle around it, it would be just about the center of its actual attendance area. That is an area that has experienced rapid growth, but the northern part of the attendance area for Fountain Inn High School is experiencing rapid growth as well. The area up around Rudolph Gordon and the area up there around that golf course and going back towards Five Forks, all those areas are experiencing rapid growth. And this is an opportunity without acquiring additional property or without incurring the duplicative operational costs of another school to provide 250 more seats for high school students in that area.
Great, thank you. And I think that there's a lot of misperception in the community that developers can go into another county, build homes, and then those students are displacing Greenville County students when the history of that and how far those lines extend and the fact that they do pay is that, you know, I've had questions about, well, there's not going to be any room for any Greenville County students when all the Lawrence County students end up taking the space in the new high school down there. So thank you very much for explaining that and the history of that. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? No? I have, I guess, a comment. I have been in touch with a lot of constituents in Fountain Inn. And wow, they're thrilled for this. They can't wait. But not listed in this budget is additional funds for parking and stadium seating, which seem to be not so available right now. And if we're doubling the size or more than doubling, we may need to look at parking and stadium seating. So
I'll let Mr. Carlin speak to that, but there is no issue with student parking there. They may be referencing if they have athletic events. And
Part of the plan when we built the original school was that we would be adding parking and to the stadium as part of the project. So we're already planning on doing that.
as I recall, that stadium was designed with the seating to the center,
Yes, sir.
allowing expansion on both sides.
Correct.
On both sides, on both ends, if that makes sense.
okay, Ms. Mosley.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to clarify something you said about Hillcrest and Woodmont. So if we expand this, we're giving the capacity at Fountain Inn is 2,250. Is that what you said?
Right.
And so are we maxed out with seats at Hillcrest, or did the Fountain Inn take some of the, relieve Hillcrest a little bit?
Hillcrest is probably sitting about 20 and a half to 2,100 right now.
And we can go how high there?
We had as many as, we probably had about 2,350 in there at one time.
Okay.
Not ideal, but we can easily put 22,
But we have a little room
2250.
in Hillcrest for the, that's
Yes.
what you were saying. We have room to grow Hillcrest. With this expansion to Fountain Inn, we will obviously grow, and then we have some room at Woodmont
We
as
could
well?
probably put about 100 more in Woodmont.
Okay.
It's a little more restricted in space.
Okay,
Now, as we have the opportunity to move students out, because we are getting more and more students in career and technical.
Uh-huh.
So if they'll go to career and technical, or as students go to internships, co-op, job opportunities during the day, that moves even more out of the high school
Right.
during the day. Both of those things create some additional breathing room. Some of the high school capacities they're calculated on everybody being there all day long,
Right,
and they aren't really.
right.
No.
Okay, so the fountain, the growth that we're seeing, I live in the Five Forks area. This is more Sarah's territory, but the growth that we're seeing, is it mostly the attendance area for Fountain Inn High School that we're seeing? Or is it,
It's probably right now a little more significant in that area,
okay,
but we're also seeing some growth in the Hillcrest attendance area, and we're seeing growth in the Woodmont.
okay,
Probably more so, probably first Fountain Inn, Greg's not here to speak to this, but just kind of in general, probably number one Fountain Inn, number two probably Woodmont, number three probably Hillcrest.
okay, and please remind me when this is supposed to be finished, the expansion, or started and finished?
Fountain Inn is
August of 25.
Yeah,
Oh, so next year. a
yeah,
year and
it's
a half
in,
from
it's
now.
in design. They've got the alternative design. They don't have the construction documents on it yet, but they've got the initial design work to put the 250 more seats on.
And so this
Yes.
modular thing that's going in instead of portables is gonna go in sooner than that?
Yes, it will go in probably this summer, Colonel.
Spring or summer.
Okay, because we will be adding that last grade this coming fall of '24.
And it's sitting
correct?
almost at capacity with the 3 grades that are in it.
Okay,
So we believe that this solution will carry us forward during the 2-year construction, which
Okay.
we'd already advanced. We'd recommended the board approved. I believe the initial plan was to add the 1,000 other seats in 29. I believe that's right. And now we've advanced it all the way to 25.
all right, so the module place will be ready for this coming school year, because we
Yes.
probably will need it sounds
Yes.
like. Okay,
Mhm.
all right, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Goodwin Caldwell?
Burke, I have a question about this modular unit and about the portables that we have already.
Uh-huh.
So who are we leasing this from, and how much more is it gonna cost? Because we have a portable graveyard over there at the old
Right.
East Gant.
It's,
What are we gonna do?
I'll let Colonel Carlin speak to the name of the company because I just don't recall. But the reason to do this, it's about the same cost as us moving portables because we got to pay to move them, we got to pay to set them up, and we have to do work to them to bring them up to the standard that you'd want students to be in them. Because any place we put them, we try our best to, number one, make them the same level of accommodation as they have in a regular building. And secondly, so that when you ride by the outside, it doesn't detract from the exterior appearance of the building. The most important thing about this is we don't have to get the 10 feet distance off of every classroom that we'd have to do if we set 10 portables over there. End to end, they got to be 10 feet apart. They got to sit 30 feet off the building, isn't that right, Scott?
If, as I recall, certainly it's 10 to 10 if they're side to side. Front to front, it's 30, and if it's front to back, it's 20 normally.
So
Excuse me, without objection, can we extend for 5 minutes? Thank you.
So this modular unit, it basically counts as it's one building. Because it's got the 10 classrooms in it and a hallway inside it. It also has the restroom in there, which will allow us to accommodate what's required by OSF without having to put, I believe it would have been 2 portable restrooms over there.
I believe so.
It's a wash as far as the cost.
It's about the same?
Mm-hmm.
I reiterate my issue with us not building Fountain Inn for the 2,000 in the first place. And I said that when we were building it, and now that we're gonna have them in portables until we get the addition on there. I just wanted to say that again, that it could have been planned a little better.
Well, as a reminder,
when we
the
built it.
intentionality behind that was to have built it all at one time, as
But
was
the area is
originally
growing so
proposed.
fast.
would have caused a 12 mil tax increase.
And it's growing so fast.
So
And we're-
that was the
I mean,
reason.
and we're eventually using the mills anyway. So I just wanted to reiterate that. I wish that we would have, when we built Fountain Inn, we would have built it for the 2,000 in the first place. But with the portables, do we use the portables that we have over there in the graveyard? Are we gonna be using them, or do we need to keep them? If we're gonna be leasing the modular unit, whenever we have to have an addition.
Well, we don't ordinarily do that. We did that this time because of the space consideration for the footprint of the unit versus what those 10 portables would have taken up, which would have inhibited either some of the use of the property for practice fields or parking.
Are we gonna be using any of those portables that's over in the graveyard?
We got 30 of them in use throughout the district now. We never know from one year to the next when we may need one for a temporary shift in enrollment. The other reason that we keep a certain number is should we have an issue. It's been a while, but in 2006, I believe it was, we had a wing that caught fire at Wade Hampton High School. We had to shut it down one day, and we had to redo the schedules of those students for I believe we moved the 9th grade in its entirety to old Wade Hampton Elementary.
How many
We no
portables do
longer
we
have a
not in
school
use?
like that, so if we were to have an issue where we lost use of a significant portion of a building, we have enough portables in that inventory that as quickly as we could get them moved, we could set them up on a piece of property and temporarily use them until we could make arrangements to replace the lost facility.
How many do we not have in use? How many do we have just sitting there?
We'll
Do
have to
we
get
know?
that, we'll have to get that to you.
Okay,
We sell them from time to time.
that's all, Mr.
Are there any other questions or comments? All right. Well, the motion is on the floor. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 4.02 is a budget adjustment for Woodland Elementary School. Dr. Rister, do you want to speak about this as well?
Yes, two of the same reasons of the three for Fountain Inn, one having to do with increased cost. You'll see that broken out that the increase, the construction cost is about $4.42 million, and you will see an explanation related to increased related art and food service spaces, flexible and administrative spaces to accommodate the enlarged elementary school, but most significantly, inflation and ongoing market price instability. We're also recommending the addition of 4 grade level classrooms, which will increase capacity by 100 more students, which would take the overall capacity of that building from 1,300 to 1,400. The layout design, as submitted by the architects, lends itself pretty easily to the inclusion of 4 more classrooms without significantly impacting the footprint of the property. We recommend that the adjustments be made in the budget for that project.
There's a recommended motion from the administration. Someone would like to formally make it? Dr. Stiles?
Yes, I would like to recommend that we approve the transfer of $6,592,171 of unassigned general fund balance to building fund in order to fund the budget increase for Woodland Elementary addition as presented.
Are questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Section, next is 4.03, the facilities report. Dr. Oyster, do you or Carl Carlin have any?
Be glad to answer any question board members might have about it.
Anyone has any questions? Now's the time. All right. Thank you. We will move on to section 4.04, Upstate Forever Conservation Easement Request at Gateway Elementary School. There is a recommended motion. If anyone would like to make it. Without a Ms. Goodwin Caldwell?
To approve granting a conservation easement as presented to Upstate Forever to protect 37.7 acres of at Gateway Elementary School.
Is there a second? Without a second, that motion dies, I think.
That's
Okay.
correct.
Okay, that concludes Building and Grounds. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Doolin, for chairing this section today, for Mr. Cochran. This concludes our committee of the whole agenda for today. I need a motion to adjourn the meeting. We have a motion from Ms. Doolin, a second from Ms. Goodwin Caldwell. It is moved and seconded to adjourn our meeting. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. The motion carries. Our committee of the whole meeting is adjourned at this time, 10:54, and we will transition to conference room A for our special personnel recommendations and a student discipline appeal, which will be followed by our board workshop on finance and audits. So thank you, everyone, for coming, and we'll see everyone in conference